the very distance, depending on how fresh and ready Kuda and Spark are, because Steak and Cheese have already played a match, so that might help them.
Yeah, that might help them, but it was a long match as well. It went the distance, and that could also take it out of you. Fortunately for Steak and Cheese, they have had some time to kind of rest, recoup, and get themselves back up and in it. I'm trying to find that matchup that you're talking about, that 3-1. I'm a little bit lost
That
at the
was the
moment.
first match, first round of the group stages.
Of course it was, just like the last one that we had was, right? Yep. So okay, just to recap for everybody, our quarterfinals, round 9 rematches, our semifinals, round 1 rematches. I kind of funny how that came out that way, but yeah, you are right. It was a banger between these two. Unfortunately, it was off stream because the stream was covering the Trident versus the two Red Devils, but yeah, looking at the score lines on that, it was, I mean, Antic got 10 points at minimum every round. Make it that what you will. She is going 10, 11 in the end. But yeah, this is going to be a close one. The only map that was one sided was waiting.
Yeah, that was the only one that was one-sided. But I feel like if there's any time for Steak and Cheese, they seem to be very much prepared. They took down Restless Black as well, who have been a thorn in their side for a very long time. But they actually got it done when it truly mattered, and I think it's a very good motivational boost. They are now secured to play tomorrow anyway.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what happens today, the two Red Devils, you will see them tomorrow as well, and whoever ends up losing this match as well, you will see them tomorrow as well. In the lower bracket, granted,
Mm-hmm.
but you do have that second chance after you go through the quarterfinal gauntlet that Steak and Cheese were able to do. So, it's one of those where at least if something doesn't click right away in this matchup, at least, you have tomorrow to rectify
Is
it.
it worth bringing up the fact that Kuda may or may not be fasting right now, and that could be affecting their performance?
Uh, I wouldn't know. Like the
Yeah.
thing is, like I don't do fasting, or I couldn't probably do it because I love food too much. But regardless of my love for food, it is something that, of course,
Yeah.
it might affect a bit. Your energy levels are a bit lower as well, and you are kind of craving for food. Maybe not grave. Maybe maybe that victory will be a nice meal at the end of the day, and the opponent is Steak and Cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's psychological battle here that is going on, making Kuda feel very hungry, thinks about food, forgets about the track. Steak and Cheese win, and that's done. New Zealand are gonna be
Yeah,
playing
that I
tomorrow
mean, and
against the
again, I
Trident.
obviously New Zealand rooting for that. Of course, Antic and an Australian org, one might say, even though the players are not from Australia. We'll see how they can bring it up. Also, Bywhack, if you are what you're saying in chat right there is true, yeah, that's kind of like the opposite problem almost of what possibly would have been happening. But you wouldn't be the most shot. Any way to relax, I suppose. When playing these matches. I'm curious though, like going into this one, what sort of maps do you think these teams are going to prioritize? Because, like, again, when you're so evenly matched, realistically, the only map that I think we are going to see for sure get locked in, maybe, is going to be that pick one. Once again, going to waiting, but after that, I could see it going anywhere.
I mean, I think we will definitely Steak and Cheese will definitely pick Shias again. Because why not? Nobody has really enjoyed playing it, and I don't see why they wouldn't want to play it against Antic Esports as well. They did it last time, so that is definitely gonna be on the board as well. But what the other order will be, I don't know. It's because we've now gone. That match was play day one. We've come a long way since then. So these pick and bans could be wildly different. The only thing I can say for certain is I think CS will be first picked by Steak and Cheese. I don't think that will be
Hmm.
changing. What Antic Esports will pick first, I really don't know. Like when you looked at the Restless Black match that Steak and Cheese had, you think back. I don't. Was there really a track that stood out to you? I guess in a way that we would want to play Steak and Cheese against
Not
that.
really.
I don't know. I don't really recall that, to be
Not really,
honest.
but I'm sure Antic has something cooked up, so they're going to have that first pick. We will see what the Wolf Pack has been hunting, and it is going to be waiting, as predicted, going first.
Yep. That is an
Ooh.
Agartha. Okay, a bit of a switch in the making. No, didn't expect that. So they go for Agartha. That is a very wild pick indeed. So I would assume Shias is here
Yeah,
now
I mean, I would kind
uh,
of.
to rectify my first
Yeah.
mistake here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so they go for the fact that they know that they're gonna play Shias anyway, so they're gonna leave it later on. So they hope to bounce back on Shias possibly, or maybe
Mm,
win it already there. So maybe playing a bit tactically with the picks, as you mentioned before.
mhm.
When you mentioned people picking Agarth against the two Red Devils, so maybe Steak and Cheese are doing the same with Shias as
Simplicity
well.
will be the decider. So Candy Crush, always a late pick, not going to be the last pick. Same thing with Luminance, kind of more on the latter half. Simplicity kind of has been picked first for a lot of these, kind of replace Simplicity and Waiting, and you would have gotten something a little bit more conventional still. Waiting up first, looking at this map order, I feel like if we are going to see the Steak and Cheese upset, maps 2, 4, and 5 are going to be the fascinating ones.
Yeah, I think this is what I said as well beforehand as well. I think this has a very good potential. If Steak and Cheese can drag this out to
Mm-hmm.
map 7, I think they have a chance to win against Antic. I think that is a very much a possibility in this case because the average on for Antic Esport on Simplicity is lower than Steak and Cheese, and we saw some very good matchups on Simplicity between Restless Black and Steak and Cheese as well. So if Steak and Cheese can drag it out towards the end, I think they have a fair shot at taking this match. But it is Antic Esports that we're talking about. Kuda and Spark, they were second in this group stage, only toppled by Trident Esports. So it's no easy feat to take down this team, but maybe a best of 7 is where you can count your eggs a bit better. But we'll have to wait and see. For the time being, at least, we start off on waiting. And the last time they played it, they did win this track. So it would be hard to not pick Antic to
Yeah,
take
I'm
this
kind of
first
leaning
round.
on the Antic side as well. Also, correct me, have I been incorrect? Is Antic actually based in New Zealand? I can't tell with the flags because they're so similar. I always thought Antic was an Australian org.
I honestly would not know. I would presume that if we do a quick I mean, I think it's
Well, yeah,
oceanic.
yeah, but
I believe it's just
oh
oceanic, but I don't think does it actually have like I guess it's New Zealand.
no,
I would
yeah,
say it's I
that's a
think it's a New
New
Zealand
Zealand
based org.
flag, but I'm fairly certain because they have a League of Legends team in Australia. I'm pretty sure they're Australian based,
Blasphemy, apparently.
but I don't know. Look, the point is Oceania and Wolf based teams name a more iconic duo. At the moment, though, we are live, and it is Planetary Goose, who was the strong performing member back in the quarterfinals for the Steak and Cheese side, already out in front by a couple Carlings. Spark and Kuda, not the hot start they were looking for. That said, Sved, a little bit further back and having issues as they go flipping off the track.
Oppa. Yeah, that's a sick flip, bro, but not a sick flip towards the finish line. But it seems that Planetary Goose is able to hold his own and get towards the finish. And very nice time as well. Sub 56 is what you want to be looking towards as well. And so far, Sved doesn't get off to a hot start, but they hold out for a draw. And at least that is the minimum you want to do. If one of your teammates gets completely ousted from the round, the minimum you can do is win the round. But of course, you go from hero to zero. It seems that as soon as you get first position, you go into last position. And Sved is the one who has
And
to
also,
get first
Antic
now.
is based out of New Zealand, and I should have known because they're winning in all of like the League of Legends stuff as well. And as we've established before, New Zealand beats Australia in competitions. So there we go. Shame on me. But either way, yeah, 1-1 at the start. Antic looking very good this next round. Big problems for Planetary Goose early. Sped, also further back as well. Speed, I should say Speedy. Why have I, like, my brain's gone. I've lost it, Kriidy. I don't know where I put it. It was a log break. I put it in the fridge to cool down a bit, and I forgot to take it back.
I'm sure it can. You can get it in between rounds and defrost it, but for the time being, it is hot on the throat at the moment with Kuda and Spark, with a New Zealand-based org having an Indonesian and Indian driver driving in an Asian Oceania tournament. If only they had an Australian coach as well, they would be absolutely Mr. International, Mr. Pitbull. But for the time being, at least, Spark and Buddha take a very comfortable lead, and it looks like with Planter Goose clipping that corner right there, it's again a bit of a similar side to before, where Sved has to hold out, but all of the time that corner sort of gets the better of him, and again Antic take the early lead, and it is somewhat expected. It is a track where Steak and Cheese, I believe, had the similar struggles against, I guess, Restless Flag. I guess now that I think back at it, this was one of the tracks where they actually had a bit more of a fumble, and Restless Black actually had good chances here as well. So Kuda and Spark are taking very good advantage of it, even with Kuda having a bit of a awkward line. That is
and again, it makes sense, right? Every team should have one track that they're just not as experienced on because of the nature of how bands work, right? You really are focusing on 6 tracks during the league play, and when you get to the playoffs, you run risk at being a little bit exposed right now, and we kind of seen that from all the teams actually so far. I don't think we've seen any series not go 1-1. It's always been a 1-1 start for all of them.
Yeah, and we haven't seen any 4-0s in the playoffs as well. There's always been one map that the opposing team has gotten minimum. So it just lends itself to showing that these teams, that yes, they are very well versed in the best of 5s, but when it goes more in depth into the map pool, they have to sacrifice one map, and at least, you know, will give us always get at least a minimum of a 5-map series. But, you know, it is 7-1 on the board, but it's not over until you get to at least 10 points. And it seems the Planetary Goose and Sved say, oh my god, Sved absolutely clipped, fumbled, tumbled, and is in the wall and is needing to respawn. So Planetary Goose, the best he can do is get a draw.
Yeah, and isn't in a position to do so yet. Spark on that inside line doesn't quite hold the speed. So Goose will hold on for now. Kuda just hoping for a mistake. We'll probably lock down P3 in this one. Goose niggles the landing, so we get a draw, but Antic, they're still 1 round win away from taking the first track.
Yep, it doesn't change much of the discourse on the track, and it's still a very, very comfortable lead, all things considered. I mean, the scoreline last time on this track was 11-3, and it's looking like I mean, mathematically, it's not any more possible to get an 11-3, but the best they can do is 10-3. So, you know, slightly different. It's almost the same, but not quite.
We'll see if they can piece it together. We'll see if they can come out on top at the moment. Very good for that Antic side. Spark with that 2-car lead. Kuda, though, sitting back, but again, a draw. Still just as good for Antic, really, in keeping Steak and Cheese down. Planetary Goose is the driver we're looking out for. And, oh, Spark has a problem. And now Steak and Cheese in an 8th position is, I think, Kuda's rear left wheel clipped as well. Oh, a disaster for Antic when this round was looking so good. Steak and Cheese are starting to rally back.
Yeah, they have to start somewhere, and an ace right now would be a very nice way to do it. And that would definitely be a lot better score than they had it on the play they won. They still have to finish, but the lines look very good. Spark and Kuda has good speed, overtakes his teammate, but I don't think that is quite enough. Sved makes a meal out of it, no pun intended, but gets the ace on the board, and 8-5, it's there. One more ace, and they're equal.
One more. Can they find it? I mean, this would be a bit of a shocker if Steak and Cheese is able to fight back in this first track right now. I'm not sure if Antic's feeling the pressure yet, though. If they can keep calm heads, I still think they should be able to take this one, but very wide lines for Spark actually results in them getting a nice burst of speed. Not enough to take the lead, and then that transition actually sees them lose a bit of speed, so they're going to fall back. Planetary Goose is the one who comes ahead. Kuda starts off the turn a little bit lower, but it's the Goose that dips the deepest. They get the most speed on the exit, and now they're starting to pull a couple car lengths ahead. Kuda going to try to stay with them. Both the Antic drivers are neck and neck. Kuda with a bit of a better exit now starts to pull up right next to the Goose, has the speed to get ahead, and Spark wants to stay with him, but they bump the inside wall, and they're going to lose some ground. Sved actually is going to catch up on them, retake the draw position. Kuda is going to run away with this one, but it's another draw, and Steak and Cheese stay alive.
Draw.
Yeah, they stay alive, but what could have been there was opportunity to at least take a victory out of it, and the scoreline would look drastically different. But now they have to Now they have to, well, they have to get the ace regardless, but now they have to get an ace, and with Svet clipping, well, Kuda is absolutely in the mud. So Spark is the one that has to hold on. He cannot fumble. Svet is fallen a fair bit behind, enjoying gear hell. So if Spark can just hold on, not do anything funny, he should be good to take the track.
That sounds like a challenge, though, for a lot of the players so far here today. Spark, though, staying right behind Planetary Goose, who is actually putting together a very nice time. I don't want that to go unnoticed. As we come through our final upper corners, Spark staying right with it. Actually got a little bit too high on that last approach, so definitely won't be stealing away the win, but is keeping things cool, calm, and collected. Final 2 turns, nails the ending. Antic takes the first track.
Yep, that is exactly what Spark needed to do. Thought they didn't need to do any shenanigans. I assume Akuda also gave the information a bit as well. I hope they at least communicate that he told Spark as well that, you know, you got a second, don't really need to push the pace, just get second position, get it done with, GG on the board, and we move on to Agartha.
Yeah, on to Agartha we go. And again, if things are going as we've expected them to, this should be pretty heavily steak and cheese favored, and then we'll have our 1-1, and then the match can really kind of begin in earnest. But I think if any team is going to play spoiler, just based on the forms that we've seen, Antic could do it here. And if Antic goes up 2-0, I really don't like steak and cheese's chances to bounce back in the series.
Yeah, it's definitely it's one of those where they have to take their own map picks, or at least make it as difficult as possible in order to capitalize on maybe getting one of the map picks of you know, getting one of the map picks of jeez, my brain is trying to getting one of the map picks by Antic, you know, basically. Jesus Christ, that
yeah, look, all right, I took my brain out of the fridge, but I needed to replace it with another one. I mean, yours was there readily available. My apologies. But as we continue with this, Planetary Goose off to a very hot start right now. Spark and Kuda, though, will stay right behind it. Sved, who kind of really get the lead that they wanted, and they're running into trouble in the ice section. If you're in the mud here, you're not really getting yourself out. So pressure on the Goose to maintain the draw. Kuda right on their tail, though. Will they be able to make that late overtake, Kriidy?
Yep, that is indeed true as well. I mean, Planetary Goose, if he can, well, he doesn't get a good, doesn't get the wall right as cleanly as Kuda did, so
Spark's
does land the position away right there. Yeah, but Spark is also there. Look at that, he's right there, better drift, and he has it. Ooh,
oh, that landing though!
Oh my god, that's so hard to differentiate there, but Goose holds on and avoids the ace. Jesus
It was
Christ.
the landing from Spark. It was a little bit bouncy, a little bumpy, and that was about the difference right there, I'd say. My goodness, a big win still for Antic. An ace would have been massive, but it doesn't matter too much because it still is Antic with the lead. We'll see if that comes back to haunt them later, but for now, looking very, very good. As once again, Sved has that rough start, pressures on the Goose to try and hold the lead. They kept it very nice and tight for the first 3 quarters of the track. It was only at the end where they started to fall back before.
Yeah, and we can clearly see that, you know, Agartha is a track that both these teams can do quite well. Sved is the one that has to sort of lend himself back in the end, and it is Planetary Goose again who has to be the one chasing down both Spark and Goose. Get it nicely, so does Kuda. Goose is the one that has to go for the attack, sets up for a nice jump there, but nothing really gained there, so it will come down to this ending. Kuda gets a better line. He's really on the tail of Goose there, but that is not how you want to do that line there. Sved's not close enough to capitalize, and very nice time by Spark as well, with a nice PB on the board, so very nice indeed. It's still, you know, we go victory by victory, but it only benefits Antic.
Victory by victory, right? The win in 5 rounds, that's only, you know, 1 more than the absolute minimum, so Pressure kind of mounting on Steak and Cheese right now. They need to categorize the bleeding, otherwise they can find themselves out of this one. But as long as Sved keeps getting these rough starts, it feels like they're always going to be a bit on the back foot because Antic just is not making mistakes. 2 bonks each from a car in the red team, and all of a sudden Antic in position for a massive ace.
Yeah, they are looking very solid indeed, really not faltering on this track, and that only means that Steak and Cheese cannot really do much any different. I mean, it's just going to be rough for them. If Kuda and Spark are not going to give them even a moment or even a slight chance to get back into it, I mean, they're just going to run away with it, and they're going to do exactly that. They're in a perfect position to get the 8. Spark and Kuda, I mean, they shouldn't really let this one go, but we've seen worse aces being thrown away in this tournament, but they keep it going with a very nice time by Kuda. That is the difference between sending it and getting it everything clean. That is a 101.4. That is a very solid time.
And the crazy thing about that time is, like, again, you know, they make it look so effortless. Like, that just looked cruise control for Kuda almost, and, well, I'm curious if the PB curse is going to strike where you get a PB and then completely fumble the next run. Doesn't look to be the case during the early stages, and this time actually Sved is able to keep up with the pack, which is a promising change for Steak and Cheese. Now the question is, can they keep that on the ice slide? And, well, the answer is they go a little bit tight on the exit. So, and a bonk from Goose as well actually puts Antic in position for yet another ace.
Yeah, this is looking really clean. I literally couldn't even finish my sentence. Kuda goes from hero to 0. And the curse of getting an absolute thriller of a time, Sved going.
What? Oh no, that's a full respawn.
Yeah, that's a full respawn, and that is probably a top 1 of the worst standing respawns you could ever imagine in this game as well. That is the worst one of all, because you start uphill on grass with no speed. But it is a victory for Antic, who go 9.
Don't let Kuda and Sved crashing out distract you from Spark's PB right there. But to quickly go back to Kuda's crash, they didn't even try to avoid that curb. I was watching, just went straight on. It had like a solid, you know, quarter to half of a second to avoid that, but was just that desperate to keep the last line. They didn't want to make any correction in movements.
Would you sacrifice speed? No, you just fully send it. You want every kilometer per hour you can squeeze out of the dirt. Especially an outside dirt.
As someone who went go-karting as well last weekend and drove straight into the wall trying to maintain speed, yeah, I can completely understand where you're coming from, even physically in that. So no harm, no foul, I suppose, at the end, because right now Antic just holding on with the Sved crash. All they need is a draw at minimum to win it, and, well, they're going to get just that at this rate.
Yeah, that is true. But hey, you got to look into the future a bit as well. They're maybe playing the long game because, you know, they have Shias as well as the 4th map. You know, and that is a track that they would have to win regardless anyway. So, you know, they will go down 2-0 right now. Very nice time by Goose as well. Almost very close to the same time as Kuda was. Only 0.15 off, so very nice. At least, you know, you can take, you know, the positives out of it and see, you know, I had the pace, I just couldn't really get it really going to begin with, and now they move on.
I'm just worried about Sved, because Sved was struggling before in that series with Steak and Cheese prior against Reckless, and now I'm seeing something similar. I think they're currently sitting at like a 75% crash rate, which is not how you beat one of the best teams in this event. And so, yeah, 75% exactly crash rate right now for Sved. Hopefully they can turn it around and get some more consistent finishes. Otherwise, I don't see Steak and Cheese getting back in this series at all.
Yeah, it is one of the cases where Sved maybe still somehow on the adrenaline, or, you know, sort of on the high from the match they had against Restless Black. I mean, the good thing is, like, even if it doesn't go exactly the plan, you know, the plan it was initially get to day number 2. They have done that, you know, that is completely done and dusted. Even if it goes away here, they have a chance to redeem themselves tomorrow. But of course, you would love to, you know, get into the upper bracket, don't have to play so many matches, but sometimes, at least in Trackmania, it is the teams that come from the lower bracket that end up having actually the advantage most of the time. We've seen that in the World Tour as well, and not to that as well, with recent news as well, how KC won against Solary in the World Cup, because KC came from the lower bracket as well. Or the lower part of the tournament. So it sometimes begs the question as well, maybe it does benefit you as well, but for the time being, you can always count on the fact that winning is
Yeah,
always nice.
at the end of the day, you just win. You don't have to worry about any of it, right? Like,
Just win.
you can't get eliminated by winning. So we'll see how this plays out.
Unless it's a tournament where you have to lose, but
No.
nobody really does.
Yeah,
those.
like golf. I don't know. Ace for Antic to start us off, though. Very close finish, actually. Spark had to snipe the goose at the end. Very tight across the line. And we were also 2/10 off the world record as well. That was a blistering first round. Antic, though, with a big-time ace. Again, expectation is they kind of win this track out, and we're looking for the reverse sweep situation. But if Steak and Cheese can keep things that close, maybe Antic might make a mistake or two.
Yeah, it was a lot less close. Of course, we went into full podcast mode there, but the drivers definitely were delivering. Now, most likely, now that we are going to be focusing on the track, probably one of the drivers is going to fly off, one of them is going to clip, and everybody is just going to have a wonderful life. Or they could just be like, you know what, we're going to one-up. Okay, Svet does hit the wall. So Spark and Kuda are chasing down Planetary Goose, and well, they can get a draw out of it at best. Svet is not too far behind, but we are getting towards the latter half of the track, so I don't think he will be able to do much in the end unless Kuda and Spark really fly off. But Kuda is trying to attack Goose, but the lines are not going to be enough. Nice nose slides in the end. Goose gets it as well. 56.994 on the board. Very
Dude,
nice
Goose
draw.
is getting closer and closer to that world record. Like, I've been paying attention to that. If they can get to that last checkpoint at 49, I think they might be able to get it. That's kind of what I'm keeping my eyes on. Either way, the draw, yeah, that's a pretty nice draw. Keeps Steak and Cheese somewhat competitive. However, Svet's got to stop making those little mistakes. And unfortunately, I mean, they're a little bit behind right now. Just don't overcompensate for it, and you should be fine. Everyone else, though, in a very tight pack, further up on the road, coming through the plastic section. Kuda has the slimmest of slim leads, but realistically, all three of these drivers are like at the exact same pace.
Yeah, it's quite hard to even differentiate these three players up in front. So it is basically just a cameraman at this point. And Spark and Kuda are trying to take down Planetary Goose. Very good end by Kuda. Good setup as well, gets a tighter line, but I think Planetary Goose has a much better line here. Will he have the speed, the flick? He does, but not quite. Gets on the inside, but is not able to take advantage. And they are getting, every round is getting faster and faster, a bit by bit, but they are getting faster. 0.2 off the world record. It shows what Steak and Cheese have to do in order to beat Spark and Kuda, but it's still not enough.
Dude, when you're needing 56.9s to win these rounds, it shows how fast these top runners have been going so far. Spark, this time, gets a very good start, and it's Kuda who actually struggles out the gate and is starting to fall a little bit back behind. Spark, though, way out in the lead. Big bonk, and that was the Goose. Sven also bottles the landing. Antic now in position to ace. That said, I want to see Spark keep pushing because they're on an absolute screamer of a round.
Well, pushing into the wall, you mean? Well, you got that one, Max. So Sved is trying to catch up to Kuda as well, but this is not going to be the trend-setting track time that you are looking for, but it is more than enough for Antic because this round is not looking clean for anybody, but it is enough for Antic to get the ace on the board with a 58-0, your average round winning time. I'm sure everybody would be very happy to drive those times. If only that time would we be not 58, but 57.
You know, because of that round and how it kind of finished, Spark is still maintaining their 0% crash rate.
That is true. That is true. You know, it's something to admire as well. Yeah, Spark has yet to fall behind enough to cause himself to get a percentage on that crash there. It's still 0%. with 12% first only. So it shows that Kuda is the one taking all the first positions actually, which is well. Well,
no.
I say that first position. Planter Goose is also out of it. Kuda also touches a ball there, so it's Sved and Spark in the front end as well. So yeah, an interesting round, but it's more than enough because Antic only need
Yeah,
1 point.
exactly. And with Goose kind of well and truly out of it, it should be easy riding for Spark. I'm a little bit disappointed that we can't continue to world record chase on this one, although we'll see what kind of time Spark's at this checkpoint coming to the end. The 50.6 is not where it needs to be. So we're not going to see the world record. We are going to see a fast time, though. Spark will come across with another 56.9. Kuda gets the ace, and Antic in position for our first sweep of the night, and it would be in our final series.
Do you know what the next map is, though? My dear counterparts here, we have Shias, the map that everybody so endearingly loves to drive, endearingly loves to pick, and definitely didn't have the biggest ban rate in the group stages. So this is the only opportunity now. Well, there is only one opportunity. They have to reverse sweep Antic in order to get a full New Zealand upper bracket final going. But for the time being, it is Antic taking a very commanding lead. But I will say, Sved and Planetary Goose, I will say Sved hasn't quite been up to the same level he was against Restless Black. That has been a bit of a downfall for Steak and Cheese, but equally as well, Kuda and Spark have been absolutely clinical as well. So definitely, no matter what you do, they've been waiting for their match the entire day, and they arrive and they
Yeah, I mean,
arrive.
just looking at some of the stats that they're kind of busting out here for this one at the moment too. Kuda, the 11% crash rate, but 47% wins. Again, the 0% crash rate still for Spark, and then you compare that to the numbers that we were seeing from Steak and Cheese. Planetary Goose, still has that 35% wins, yes, but I mean, the crash rate is also about 25%, and Sved just not having a good day. Case in point, rough start for the first round here. These, some days aren't your day, Kriidy. And then the great thing about the position they've got themselves in Steak and Cheese, no matter what, they're back at it tomorrow. So you will have that time to mentally reset yourself, get yourself back focused, and, come at tomorrow, hot, strong, ready to play. But Sved just struggling a little bit comparatively to the team. And unfortunately for Planetary Goose, kind of needs that help when Antic is all over every single round.
Yeah, they are definitely not shying away from driving Shias fast, and it shows. But Planetary Goose with a sick line in the end overtakes both of the Antic members. And if there's one thing Sved can rely on, it is his teammate. And Planetary Goose making quick work of Antic in the end. What a very nice way to get the point on the board. 58.9, a sub 59 as well. Very nice indeed, and keeps Steak and Cheese in the match with everything to go for. So if Sved can get back into it, there is a possibility.
Yep, I mean, a draw is the best case scenario in situations like that when the team kind of falls apart around them. And I mean, Steak and Cheese, Planetary Goose in particular, has been very consistent on tracks like this. However, this time it's actually the Goose who kind of fumbles the start, and it's on Sved to kind of keep the lead. But we'll see if they're able to hold it again. Antic, their lines are so similar, just exactly on top of each other. Maybe Kuda got a little bit higher in that last curve, so they'll have a bit of speed come this middle portion. But Antic, they're so mechanical. They're like a perfect Trackmania driving machine. Robots, look out.
Yeah, they are indeed in the groove of it. Goose is trying to get back into it, but again, a touch on the outside wall. It is Sved who has to do the exact same that Planetary Goose did in the previous round. Very good setup here. Has a much better line here, but Kuda very clinical on the inside block. But Sved coming in hot as well, and this is what we're talking about. Can he get a better end than Kuda? Kuda sets up for more speed.
Spark.
It's going to come down to the fire as well. Sved will get the inside, but Spark is not going to be able to get there as well. What a great race on Shias as well. Sved was almost able to take the inside finish line there, but Kuda just stays right in front. The Antic take the lead, but that is to be written in the stars for now. I mean, it showed Sved can do it. It's just that they've not been able to do both of them together, as Kuda goes on a bit of a trip, but is back into it right there. But yeah, it hasn't sort of clicked at the moment. In the match against Restless Black, it worked. When they were both driving good, they were both able to get the round going. But so far, it hasn't really clicked against Antic the same way, and they've been able to struggle from it. But Antic are more than happy. If you're gonna struggle, we will more than happy take a 4-0 sweep.
Yeah.
But they have to
Oh,
actually get it
Spark
done,
bomb.
and it's the ending that they haven't been able to get down quite well.
I mean, Spark that last round had about 5-10 Ks on everyone else, but because of that, they couldn't get the tight turn, which is why they finished third instead of first. Spark able to recover from that little bonk as well, but yeah, it's just, again, the consistency from Antic is something that we haven't seen from really any of the other teams. Kuda this time will be the one who crosses first with the 58.7. Sved a little bit too far back as Antic just continues to march their way. I'm curious going into tomorrow, assuming Antic continues this tear, them versus Trident, who actually wins that series out in the winter bracket final? Because I feel like from what we're seeing, Antic might have a bit more pace and the consistency. Antic has looked like the hotter team.
Yeah, it is very hard today, but you gotta keep in mind that in that match, Min did end up pushing Trident Esports quite a bit as well, so it wasn't as easy for Trident Esports as they would have wanted to be. Min did show up quite a bit as well in that match, Kuda having a bit of a fumble here, though, but Sved is quite a bit behind as well. But currently, Planetary Goose is doing his best impression of trying to hold on to this draw. But can he actually do it as well? This is the part where it matters the most. Sets up wider. We'll have better line that Spark will ever
Spark
have
bomb.
from that section as well. So Planetary Goose at least holds on for now and keeping a steak and cheese in it. What the hell are you doing,
What?
Goose? Oh my god, he went so wide on that turn and ended up crashing into the opposite wall before the finish, giving the ace away, and it goes from bad to worse. It's absolutely despair,
Hey,
if anything.
Antic is now one round away from making sure you get to play your match in the
Yeah, hey,
games.
if anything, I gotta give props to Antic. I will be able to go and get beat up by Netherlands the same way Steak and Cheese are getting beat up by Antic at the moment. So, at least I can feel sympathy for Steak and Cheese in that regard. But regardless of that, I will say, Steak and Cheese have done an admirable job today.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe it's been a long day as well. And, maybe that restless match took so much out of it. They had to go through the final round to absolutely get the job done as well. So, and fair play to Antic. Out of the gate, hot, ready to go, and no remorse.
And I feel like we are going to be getting our all New Zealand final match, but it's going to be a lower bracket final instead, the way things are playing out, as Antic are going to be cruising across. Sparks got a big time here, 58.8. Kuda will come across for the ace, and with that, Antic will punch their ticket to the upper bracket final. We will be seeing both these teams play again tomorrow. Steak and Cheese, though, it's going to be back to the drawing board as Goose sends it right past the finish line because they know it's done.
Yeah, indeed. And honestly, that Goose, I was spectating him. It kind of jump scared me. I'm not going to lie, that horn. I was really focusing on what he's driving, and it slightly jump scared me from. I had a bit of a quick flinch because of that horn. But that is a GG. That is a 4-0 done by Antic Esports. That is the only one for the day. But hey, very well done. And I will say, Planetary Goose still was able to get some very solid rounds in. Sved simply didn't have the best of times, but given that he's able to do the times that he can, when we saw it in the Restless Black match, I don't think he should really hold himself back too much. Just tomorrow is a new day, fresh start, new opponent. It is the two Red Devils, but, still an opponent that you might be able to take down.
I think they'll still have a chance for them, so we'll see how well they'll establish themselves in that opportunity. But that does kind of wrap things up here. Look, normally I would have a big, long post-match discussion with you, but I feel like the sooner we can send you on your way, the better. So
No. We have
no,
10 more minutes. They
okay.
can survive a bit. We can still do a
No,
bit of
I
a
want to
wrap up.
watch. I want to watch your match, though. I want to watch you drive. I got to make sure you're there in time for the big
No,
upset.
well, let's do an 80% speed run in 5 minutes of wrapping up today's tournament. Then we can get up the playoffs bracket as well,
Yep.
producer, if you may please as well. Hopefully, we have that picture here as
Yep.
well.
There it
So
is. Up to date,
there it
even.
is. Yeah, up to date as well. So this is the updated bracket. So we saw Restless White and Restless Black, both Restless team out of the tournament. And we have now the matchups with Antic and Trident in the upper, and two Red Devils and Steak and Cheese in the lower. The playoffs order will be: we have lower bracket final, a lower bracket semi-final match, so two Red Devils versus Steak and Cheese. Then we will do Antic and Trident. Then we will go back down to whoever end up in that lower bracket final, and then of course the El Grande Finale. So that is the schedule for tomorrow. And that will be what we are looking forward to as well. So set your schedule, set your times for everything. Tomorrow, same place, same time as well. And 4 teams left to fight for that grand final spot. And I'm very excited because we saw a lot of ups and downs. We saw some very good matchups and some very good stuff to come for tomorrow. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an absolute blast. And I mean, look, one more day to go. That Antic versus Trident matchup, I think there's a high chance we're going to see it twice, but still, I can also see both results going opposite directions. Either way, we'll look forward to seeing you all again here. As mentioned before, same start time as today. Fret not, we'll be here. Looking forward to seeing you, and good luck, Kriidy, in your match. Good. Don't.
I'm gonna definitely need it. It's gonna be a bit of a rinsing to start me off against the Netherlands, but you will be able to see it either from the POV of I don't know if Spam is gonna stream it. Most likely not. Probably Tarper is the POV for them early in the morning, or you can
Now
check out
you got to stream it.
the Trackmania seasonal country championship stream as well. Maybe we will even rate it as well. But for all of you here, thank you for being here today. Leave a follow on the Asian Oceania Twitch channel. Take a look at the Discord as well, the YouTube channel with the VODs and of the matches as well. And if you want to keep up to date with the announcements, Twitter is always a place for it as well. So mods, do the commands. You know what to do, Razor. Yeah, there you
There
go.
it
There's the social
is.
things. Click all of the links there. Get yourself involved, and you will be all up to date with tomorrow's shenanigans as well. Pick'ems, those are in the mud anyway. We don't need that, Razor. You can clean that up. Regardless of that, it is. I've had a blast, and I'm gonna have a blast playing the country championships as well. But tomorrow we're gonna have a good time, Max. I'm looking forward to it.
We are. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye bye. Bye, everybody.